where were you when you saw the alert that Nick Bosa was coming back to Santa Clara?
I'm so happy today. I was stringing up a first baseman's mitt for one of the roasters who hit me up on Twitter, this guy Ben. And so I was, restringing the glove, and all of a sudden my phone just kept buzzing and buzzing. I was listening to a podcast, and I looked down at my phone, and I'm like, thank God. At first, when I first saw that it was a Schefter thing, you have to, you see the tweet,
right.
But you have to click on it to, get to the actual tweet. I go, please, dear God, tell me he wasn't traded away. Because the amount of people hitting me up, I thought that maybe something crazy happened. Boy. But then when I saw that he was going to stay, a big, deep breath, and I said, thank God, let's go, let's do this. I mean, look, Bonte, you and I remember the day he was drafted. We talked about that draft leading up to it. You and I waited all offseason to see him. He had the high ankle sprain leading into his rookie year. He didn't play at all in that preseason. We didn't know what to expect. I remember you and me talking to JD on the pregame show, what does Bosa look like? And, his legs all wrapped up, and he goes out there, and you could just see it in that first game. He was different. And within 5 years, as in his first 5 years in the NFL, he got drafted in 2019. By the middle of this year, I would predict by December.
Fifth year coming up.
I would say by December of this year, he's going to be the number 3 all-time 49er sack guy. Okay? Within 5 years of his career, he is already going to jump into the top 3 of all-time sack leaders in 49er history. We've been a team since 1946, all right? And only Bryant Young and Charles Haley are going to be above him at some point this year if he stays healthy. That's how good this guy's been. When he plays, they win, he takes down the quarterback, and other guys around him go to the Pro Bowl.
No doubt about that. You're talking about the reigning Defensive Player of the Year. Now, I was at the driving range in San Bruno with my guy, John Sackey.
Oh, nice.
Getting ready for the Warriors. We're talking about the Warriors and the upcoming season and what's going on, some changes, and, just getting our minds wrapped around basketball while talking football and stuff like that. And, that's, I just happened to look at my phone, and there was a lovely tweet right on par, Adam Schefter. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's on and popping. It's on and popping as Nick Bosa signs a 5-year, $170 million extension, including $122.5 million guaranteed. And I want to also give credit to Jed York, the owner of the 49ers, because Jed York has been ridiculed in this market. I saw a lot of people talk about he's being cheap, the Niners are being cheap, blah, 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 blah. Well, Joe Lacob set the tone in this market by spending top dollars, paying the tax, trying to put a championship team on the floor at Chase Center for our fans, for everybody to say, hey, we're about hanging banners here. Well, 40 miles south in Santa Clara, Jed York has quietly done the same. Now, you think about all the extensions he's given guys, all right? Trent Williams, Fred Warner, Eric Armstead, Javon Hargrave, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, Charvarius Ward, Kyle Juszczyk, Drake Greenlaw, and up next is going to be Brandon Ayuk. Better believe that. Now Nick Bosa. And we knew this deal would be massive. The deal probably should have been done last week, but hey, it is what it is.
He's here.
He's here now, and he will be there, and formerly known as Heinz Field, whatever the hell the name of the stadium is now out in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Jed York shelled out $80 million yesterday alone by restructuring the deals with Trent Williams and George Kittle, and he gave Bosa the bag. So give Jed York his flowers. Ain't no broke boys in Santa Clara. Them boys are printing money, and they have no problem paying premium dollars for players. When you think about what the Niners have done. Christian McCaffrey, highest paid running back. Kyle Juszczyk, highest paid fullback. George Kittle, third highest paid tight end. Trent Williams, third highest paid left tackle. Fred Warner, third highest paid linebacker. Sixth highest paid D tackle, that's Javon Hargrave. Deebo Samuel, now the seventh highest paid wide receiver. Jed York deserves his flowers. The 49ers deserve their flowers. They waited this out. Both sides handled this like professionals, like adults in the room, and now we are full go. We know who the captains are. Number 97 is going to be there, and now all that it is on our minds, no matter what happens on Sunday, no matter what happens in the month of September, it's Super Bowl or bust now. And Jed York has paid his money. He put his money where his mouth is. The 49ers have put their money where his mouth is. And Bosa's back, and now it's on and popping. It's time to go get that 6th Lombardi, and it starts on Sunday. I'm so fired up right now. Woo! Football's back. Let's go. Let's go.
It's just he's been one of their great draft picks. I mean, like I was telling Joe Spadoni, when you think about what he's accomplished, like Aldon Smith was so freaking good, right? So freaking good when they drafted him, and kind of came out of left field. I remember when they picked him, was like, dude had like a broken leg in college. Are we sure about this? 6th pick overall, really? Out of nowhere? Like really? You know, we had quarterback problems at the time. I didn't know that Alex was going to have a resurgence.
Wasn't he 7th overall? 7th overall?
6th, 7th, whatever. Top 10. Yeah. But it was out of nowhere.
It was.
You know, and he was dynamic. But the guy had so many self-inflicted wounds, whether it was, you know, his off-field stuff, and I don't know if it's emotional substance. I don't know what the problems were, and we probably never will. But clearly the guy was troubled. But he was an excellent player. Bosa has none of those problems off the field to this point, right? To this point. And I say this, like, I think we have, like, conditioned to be so negative in life and in sports. This guy is a guy, he's not a perfect player, but he's damn near perfect. Like, what's the area? What is truly, if we're really being honest, what's the weakness in this guy's game? Right. Like, what's the hole?
There's not a hole. And by the way, the Niners did free up $23 million in cap space. In the meantime,
I don't understand the cap. I don't even know how. I don't even know how to explain it.
But you know what?
I'm glad they did.
But you know what? They freed up money because now, when the trade deadline comes around, if Brian Burns of Carolina is unhappy, if a guy like that is unhappy, we know the Niners will have no problem trading picks for a big time player like that. Now, look, they said the Christian McCaffrey deal is unlikely. Let's see how Drake Jackson plays. Let's see how Cleveland Farrell plays. The Niners are now in play for every player out there in the league who becomes available, all because of what they did yesterday with the cap and Nick Bosa. Now, you speak about Nick Bosa with his 43 sacks. That's after missing all of 2020. All he's done is win Defensive Rookie of the Year. All he's done is be in a running for Defensive Player of the Year back in 2021 when he amassed 15 and a half sacks. And, of course, last year, he damn near gets 20 with 18 and a half. So, look, man, Jed, Nick, Shanahan was happy. Lynch, we're going to play a lot of sound here. You got a generational talent, and this is what you do when you have generational talents. You keep them in the building.
I mean, imagine if they had not retained Patrick Willis or Ronnie Lott. Like, that's the conversation that we would have been having. And
Jerry Rice.
Yeah, this is a no-brainer. He's been absolutely outstanding. And you could tell, like, man, I was really surprised hearing how many of his teammates were thrilled. And I know we talk a lot about it's a business, and I understand the money portion, but from a team building aspect and these guys wanting to win the Super Bowl, which is that's the goal. Like, this team, I'm not knocking the Jacksonville Jaguars, but like the Jacksonville, if they win a couple of playoff games this year, it would be an unbelievable season for them.
They'll be happy.
Right? Exactly. Like the Chicago Bears. If they just make the playoffs this year, it'd be a great year. The 49ers are about the ultimate goal. Right. And that's a special place to be in sports. It is about the Super Bowl. And you could hear Fred Warner, Trent Williams, that entire team understands how much easier their job is when he comes in and how he impacts winning and losing. When he's on the field, they win at a 2-1 clip. He's just been a dominant player. I'm excited that he's going to be here forever. And we get the prime years, too. Like they're not getting years 29 through 35. He's 25 years old.
Yep. And you talk about 25. You talk about his sack totals in 49ers franchise history. Cedric Hardman leads the 49ers from 70 to 79 with 108 sacks. Bryant Young, second all-time, 89 and a half sacks. Tommy Hart, who played back at 68 through 77, 72 and a half sacks. Then they get Charles Haley there, fourth all-time, 66 and a half. And Dwayne Board, the legend, was 61 sacks from 79 to 88. Now, 54 is Charlie Kruger. He has 54 sacks. He's 6th all-time. Bosa could easily be in the top 6 by the end of the season. Easily be in the top 6. With 11 sacks, he's in the top 6 there.
You go to the sacks. If you talk to the old school, again, I don't know, not to get off, but they didn't call a sack until 1979. No, and you hear people like Deacon Jones say, like, I had like 25 sacks in a season.
Yeah, I believe
I
Deacon
just
Jones.
go off of what they have on the website because that's what they acknowledge. And you look at someone like Ahmed Brooks is number 3 all time in like their websites and whatnot. And so I don't know.
Well, Ahmad Brooks is 7 here, 51
yeah, but you're going
sacks.
off the pre, when they add in those.
Yeah.
I'm just going off of what the recorded sack in the modern era. So who knows? But look, I'll say this, B. When the guy plays, he averages about a sack a game. That's rarefied air. I mean, that is rarefied air. You talk about a guy who's extremely efficient. He's been outstanding. And then look at what he does. Like, if you really want to maximize the Javon Hargrave money, if you really want to maximize the Eric Armstead money, you got to have Nick Bosa on that defensive line, right?
No, there's no doubt. I don't get why people were talking trade. I get people. Things like this make people go crazy. The holdout lasted until yesterday. I get it. He missed all the training camp.
He looks physically incredible. Did you see the video?
Well, he's going to be fine.
Classic.
Did anybody
Nick
think Nick
Bosa.
Bosa was going to be out of shape? This guy has lived, breathed, and basically played football his entire life. He's not going to be out of shape. He's a professional. He was going to keep himself in shape.
If I were to ask you, all-time 49er bodies, Vernon Davis, Nick Bosa, like it's a short list, right? Because you see him with that compression shirt on yesterday, showing up in Santa Clara. I'm ready to go. Let's go. I know it was good for a little while, but let's go win the Super Bowl. And I'm seeing him. I'm like, dude, the guy looks so jacked out of his mind.
I mean,
who would even be on this list?
Yeah, I don't know. T.O.
T.O.'s a good one. I didn't even think of T.O. T.O.'s a good one. What was that? Was that NFL Films where he's getting his bust?
T.O. was chiseled. Willis was chiseled. Bowman was chiseled.
Yeah, Bo was chiseled.
You had a lot of guys who had just been chiseled in a 49er uniform, so he's up there.